Okay, so this is obviously a tutorial about making lightning, and you can see the lightning traveling down the body of this character and between the fingers, and it's very simple to do. It's got noise and a couple strokes and some effects added to it, so should be pretty easy. And yeah, let's get started. Okay, to do lightning, it's very similar to the teardrop effect that I created for the last tutorial. It uses a stroke, noise, and also layer blending. And it's pretty easy to do. So we're going to start off by creating a new vector layer. I have a picture of Raiden from Mortal Kombat, just a picture I found on the internet. And we're going to create the lightning finger for the fingers. So I just call that lightning fingers. And I'm going to turn off the background for just a second and use the freehand tool. Make sure auto stroke is selected and the other two are auto close and auto fill are off. And we'll go ahead and draw some lines in between the hands. I'm just going to draw from finger to finger, crossover, just so we get some nice arcs. And do that. I'm just going to cross the strokes a little bit just so it gets some more variety. And we also want this to, oops, I'm going to hit T, move this point over a little bit just so it's by the fingers. And I'm also going to select all by hitting Command A, then hitting C, then left click and dragging to the left to make all of the points sharp. You can do this by clicking on this button right here also. And that just makes all of the points straight. And I'm just doing that so I can make them more angled like lightning. Because lightning usually does not have curves that I can think of. And I'm going to add some more points into the center here. And oops. Add a couple more points. And then I'm just going to leave it like this for now. And then we're just going to create a small wave animation by hitting G. And then we'll go ahead and select the points in between the fingers like that. Go to frame 1. Hit T. This is also, you can come up to this button and hit this transform points tool. Click on it, move it just a little bit just so it creates a keyframe. Then we'll go to frame 12. We'll pull it all up. And we're going to leave these points alone that are on the fingers. We'll go ahead and select the first keyframes. Hit Command C to copy and Command V to paste. Then select those last keyframes on 24 where we just pasted them. Hit cycle. And we'll just cycle to frame 2. And if I hit play, those go up and down. And now we're just going to make the wave motion. So go back to frame 0. Hit G so we can start selecting points. And we're going to select points a little bit off of these first ones. So we're not going to select the very first red points. We're just going to click and drag a box over to the fingers over here, leaving some of those unselected, and we'll grab the bottom keyframes, the red ones, grab those 3 keyframes and pull them over 2 frames. Then repeat the process. Since you already have the tool selected, come over here, draw a box, leaving some of the red points out. Grab the keyframes on the bottom. Remember to always grab the red ones. 2 over. Grab some points. Grab the keyframes. 2 over. Grab some more points and just keep doing this until you get to the end. And 2 over. And it really doesn't, you don't have to be super precise on which points you're grabbing or keyframes. You just, this is all going to be random, so it doesn't really matter. And grab those last ones. Grab those. And maybe we'll just do that. that. Okay, so now we have the lightning going between the fingers and waving like that. But to make it look more like lightning, we need it to be staggered. So double click the lightning fingers layer, go up to vectors, click noisy outlines, animated noise, and extra sketchy. And then let's go ahead and turn this up to about 9. Hit apply and OK. So now it's going to wave, and it's also going to be jittery because there's noise added to it. So now you can see it's shaking and waving at the same time. And let me turn the background layer on. So if we render this now, it doesn't look like anything. It just looks like blue lines, nothing special. And actually, let me go ahead and hit Command A and hit W. I'm going to shrink down these lines a little bit more so it looks a little bit more like lightning. So we'll just let's go right about there. See what that looks like. So you can't hardly see any of it. So we're going to double click the lightning fingers layer, change the layer blending mode to add, and apply. Now if I hit Command R and render it, now you can see this is a little lighter, and that's what we want, but it's a little too thin, so I'll go ahead and hit W and then bring those strokes up a little bit more. And let's render that and see. That's still a little too... Okay, I'm going to hit W, bring them all the way down, and let go, and then all... Now the strokes are going to be the same thickness. So I'm drag them to the left, let go, and then pull them back so they all have the same amount of thickness. Let me see. Okay. We'll go down to about that. You just want to get it to... That's too thick. Let's just go right about there because we're actually going to do something else. Since it's set to add, we're going to actually do a reference layer. So click on that, and once you do that, you'll see when I render it, it's much brighter. Now it's a much brighter blue, and if I do it again, another reference layer, it's even brighter still. And that's what I really am looking for, is that kind of lightning effect. And actually, let's make a couple more reference layers. Just click on the reference layers till we have 5. Okay? And to add a little bit more of an effect to the lightning, let's go to the first reference layer, Lightning Fingers 2. Click on double click your layer, go to vectors, and then change the offset pixels to even higher. So let's go to 11 and apply that. Go to Lightning Fingers 3 and we'll change that also. Change the offset pixels to, I can't even see what that is now. Doesn't really matter, just as long as it's sketchy. And hit OK. This one we'll turn up a little bit. I'm just making it more random. And then let's render that and see what that looks like. So it's kind of hard to see, but these are offset a little bit now. So you can see there's like kind of a fading effect going off of the lightning. So they're not all lined up exactly. And that just adds a little bit more motion, I guess. But it doesn't look complete yet because it doesn't have a glow. So we'll double click the last layer, Lightning Fingers 5. Click on Outline, and we're going to click the eyedropper tool and select the blue lightning so it's the same color. But then we're also going to turn the blur radius up to, let's do 4, and maybe turn the opacity down a little bit. We'll just go to 88 or so and apply that. Let's see what that looks like. So you can't, there is a little bit of a glow. It's kind of hard to see. I'm going to turn it up so it's easier to see on the video. So let's make the width even bigger. Let's turn that up to 6. And apply that. Let me render that. Okay, now we're getting the glow. You see around all of the lightning, there's actually a glow around there also. So let's render this part out real quick and see what that looks like. So I'm going to export animation. I'll just go to 150, and I'm just going to render it half dimensions just so we can see, check our work. So this shouldn't take too long to render. It's not a very complex effect. And that's done. So let's play it. And that looks pretty good. I really like, it looks like it's flickering more because of the offset of the pixels that we did. And also it's waving a little bit too, which is really nice. So that's the first part. If you wanted to make lightning between fingers or coming down somebody's arm or something like that. The other thing I'm going to show you is, let me go ahead and go back to frame 0. I'm just going to create a group and drop all of that, the lightning layers into that. And just name it fingers, just so it's easy to find. Okay, the next effect I'm going to show you is it's the same thing, but lightning traveling around the body. So we'll create a new vector layer, and we'll just call this strike 1. Name it whatever you want. It's same type of stroke. We'll just go and click the freehand tool, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to draw. I'm just going to go across his hat, or to the very top of his hat, have the lightning coming down, going over the brim, maybe down the side of his head. Then I'm going to have it loop around his body. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw over here, draw a little bit of a contour on his body. You can just make this go straight across too. Then it's going to go behind him. This is all one stroke. We'll fix the overlap here in just a second. Then it's going to go behind him and then over his arm and maybe under his belt. And then we'll go over this arm, maybe loop through that a couple times. And I'm just going to move this around his leg and down to this foot. We're going to do the same exact thing. Actually, I'm going to use the reduce points tool. So point reduction, click on that, and then just paint on that stroke. That'll get rid of some of those points because we don't need all of those. And I am going to actually, let's make it all the same width. So hit W, drag to the left, let go, drag to the right, and we'll go right about there. And then just like last time, we'll hit C, which is the curved points, and we'll just drag, left click and drag to the left. Okay, so now let's go through here and make this a little bit, just fine tune the lightning. So we're gonna go ahead and hit T and grab some points, and I'm just going to move this over. It's gonna go over the front of his face. I'm gonna pull a couple of these out, and this is why we made it so the points are straight, so they can kind of look jagged when we pull over or pull these points out. Then I'm just gonna circle his face a little bit. I hit A to add some more points because I'm just gonna make it look like it's going off his clothes a little bit. We'll grab some of these points, pull them out. Now to make it look like it's going behind his body, we're gonna hit W and then shrink this point that where we want it to disappear. And I'm going to hit G, grab all of these points, hit W, shrink those as well, and shrink that. And then where I want it to reappear, I'll just move it over to this side of his body. And we'll move some points here, make that look jagged. And this is going to go over his arm, make it go down his arm, over the chest, maybe down part of his costume, down here. Again, I just hit A to add more points. And then we'll make this spiky over here, lightning-ish. Then we want it to disappear behind his arm, so we'll put a point there. Hit W, make it disappear. Put another point here. Shrink that one. Actually, let's keep it going behind him. So we'll just shrink it over to here. It's going to come out and over his arm. A little spike. And we'll go under. So hitting W again, shrinking it so it disappears. And move that. It's going to go over his arm again. Coming out here. More spikes. Make this go under his hand. So shrink those. Add a point. Hit W, bring it back up so you can see it. And we'll go over his body. I hit A again. So it's traveling up part of his costume. I just think it looks cool. If the lightning looks like it's affecting the picture. So that's why I'm tracing part of his costume here and there. Oops. And hit A. Hide those points so it looks like it's going under. Spiky over here. Go over his hand. Go under. Adding points over. It's going to go under his leg right here. Hit W, pull to the left. Hit A, add a point. W, pull it over. Hit A. I'm just adding a point here so I can make it thick again. Make it hit his costume. Make it spiky. Go under, over, and under. Put a point there, make it disappear. And this doesn't look spiky enough. Okay, so now we have this one big line going down his whole entire body. So let me turn on the background one time. And then, or actually no, let's turn that off. So to animate this, on frame 0, go ahead and click the stroke exposure tool. And on frame 0, go ahead and click or select all, Command A, make sure you have the stroke selected, and then left click and drag to the left. And that pulls that stroke all the way back to the beginning, to the top of his hat. Then we'll go to frame 24. Or wherever it is you want it to start appearing. So we'll just go to frame 24 here, and I'm going to left click and drag just so it creates a keyframe. So from 0 to 24, nothing's going to happen. Now I'll go to frame 48, and then left click and drag to the right, and we'll make it appear. So we'll just keep clicking and dragging until it gets to the bottom. Okay, so from 24 to 48, it starts to appear. Now, we're going to go to frame, let's go to frame 30. No. Let's go right about there. So 32. Right, you can see the stroke appearing. I want it to start disappearing after a little while. So I'm going to, at frame 32, I'll click on the start percentage, and I'm just going to turn it just a little bit, just so it starts disappearing. So it appears, and then we get to frame 32, and then it starts disappearing. So we'll go to frame 39, come back up to here to the start percentage, and turn that up, so it starts disappearing at the top over here. And then we'll go to frame 48, or wherever it is you want it to be. Go to start percentage, turn that down to wherever you want it to disappear to. We'll go past 48. Let's go to 54. start percentage, go to right here, then we'll go 63 or wherever, just kind of evenly spaced. It doesn't matter if it's spaced perfectly either, because it's lightning. Again, it's going to be random. Then I'm just going down every few keyframes and then turning this start percentage up, so it eventually disappears. So we'll go there and then to the last keyframe where it disappears. So if I scroll through the timeline, it appears and starts disappearing at the same time. Or not the same time, but it looks like it's traveling down his body. From here we're going to do the exact same thing we did for the fingers. So let's turn on the background layer, double click the strike one. Let's spell that right. Strike one. And double click the layer, make sure it's set to add, and apply. I'm going to blur it just a little bit, just to 2 maybe, and render. Let me see what that looks like. Oh, got to go into the timeline so we can actually see it. So there's our lightning. That looks a little too thick. So I'm going to go back to frame 0. And with everything selected, it's hard to, well, you can't see it because the stroke exposure is being used. So I'm going to hit W and just pull it to the left just a little bit. And I'll check it in the timeline and render it. I just want to see how thick this is. That looks pretty good. So we'll do the same thing. Actually, I might even make it a little bit thinner. Frame 0, hit W, pull to the left just a little bit. And then check it in the timeline. I think that looks pretty good. So we'll, just like before, we'll do some reference layers. So let's do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wait. Go back. I'm sorry. You have to do this before... you have to add the noise and stuff like that before you make the reference layers, otherwise it won't transfer. So I'm kind of glad I did that, so you know. So we have the strike, but let's also create some noise. So double click on strike 1, vectors, noisy outlines, animated noise, extra sketchy, and turn that up to 8 or so. Apply. Let's turn the background layer off just so we can see what the noise looks like. So it's going through, and you can see it kind of shaking a little bit as it's traveling down the body. That adds more, makes it look much more like lightning. So see at the bottom, it just jitters. So we did that. And also let's make the strike faster. So let's select all of the keyframes that we made, hold Option down, and then just drag, left click and drag the last keyframe, and it'll just compress those so they're a lot faster. So we'll just make it like that. And we can make that even faster. I think kind of let it linger. That's okay. Like that. And I'm going to select these keyframes and copy them. So I'm Command C, and then I'm just going to paste them in a couple different places. So every once in a while that lightning will come down like that. Now you can make a whole bunch of different ones. You know, this looks exactly the same every time, but as in the beginning video, I've created 2 different ones, but you can make as many as you want. So we'll do that. Now once we have the animation set, now we can make reference layers. So let's turn on the background layer, select strike 1, the lightning that we just did, and then create 5 reference layers. So now, oops, if I go in the timeline and render it, the lightning should be a lot brighter, like that. But again, we want to go ahead and select some of these reference layers and change the noise on them. So double click on strike 2, strike 1, 2, go to vectors, change the offset pixels, turn that up, hit apply. 3, do the same thing, change it to something random, hit OK, And 4, we'll do that again. To whatever. Doesn't matter. And then on that last one, we've got to make that glow. So let's go ahead and turn on outlines. Outline on. We'll use the same color of the lightning to make the glow. So we'll just hover over and then turn the width up to 6. Where is it? 6. And turn the blur radius up to 2.5. Or actually, let's go 3.5. Oops. And you know what? I didn't do that on frame 0. Let me render that. But see, it has this really nice glow on it now. But let's do that. Hopefully. Okay. Even though I did that and it wasn't on frame 0, it did transfer to all the frames. So you can see there's a glow on that. Let me just double check. I'm just going to go down here. Yeah. Really cool lightning effect. So let's go back to frame 0. We'll turn the lightning on the fingers on also. And let's go ahead and render that out. So we'll go to frame 240. And let's save that. Render it out. It shouldn't take too long. And now looking at it, I think it looks better that the lightning's a little bit blurred, because the lightning traveling around the body looks cool. I think that looks a little bit more realistic, the lightning that strikes around the body, just because it's a little bit more faded. But it's whatever preference you want. I like the finger lightning too. They both look cool. So that's it. It's really just, again, drawing a stroke, changing some of the attributes, so add some noise, change the layer blending modes so it's see-through, and then offsetting the shake of the noise creates this really nice slight offset of the lightning too. So that's it. Pretty easy to do. Like I said, you could use this on video if you want. I think I might make a video of that using an actual piece of video footage, or even myself shooting force lightning like Star Wars or something. But yeah, that's it. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below. Thanks.